So that's the roadmap we're going to give everybody today. Can you walk us through this AI prototyping mastery ladder and what it shows?
Yeah, so I've been really on this kind of journey to help PMs and product teams figure out how do they go from AI slop to really great, valuable AI prototypes. And so as I was really digging into this, I started asking people, what do they do in their process? And ultimately, I discovered there's actually 15 unique skills you kind of have to master to be able to do AI prototyping well. And what I wanted to do was sort of create a succinct framework around those skills. And so what I did was create the AI prototyping mastery ladder. And so the idea here is that you need to learn each of these 15 skills to prototype well. And I broke them out into different levels. It turns out learning this is like any craftsperson. You need to move from apprentice to journeyman to master, and really sort of nail the foundations before you go up to another level. And that's kind of what I'm trying to show here. And so when you're first starting out prototyping, you have to learn the basics. And this is really the apprentice level, which is how do you prompt in an AI prototyping tool to do it well? How do you actually, in fact, edit your prototypes? We're gonna spend most of our time not one-shotting a prototype, but editing it. And so learning how to edit well ends up being really important. The third challenge is really about design consistency, right? How do we get our prototypes to look like our product? And by default, they don't look like our product, but there's a set of skills we can learn to ensure they do. And so that's sort of some of these core skills around kind of the apprentice level. Now, as we go to the journeyman level, we want to start learning things like versioning and debugging. It turns out when we're actually AI prototyping, we're going to run into all sorts of bugs. And so knowing how to prototype well ends up being so important. Now, another core capability here is what I call diverging. It's this idea that, hey, look, AI shouldn't be used just to create one output. We should be using it to create multiple outputs, just the way we'd use a designer. A designer would come up with 3 variants and then help us think about the pros and cons of each. It turns out if we learn how to use AI in that way, we can get that same benefit. Now, we're creating these prototypes largely to validate with customers. And there's some techniques and skills we need to learn around how do we validate with customers well. And so those are some of the key skills around the journeyman level. Now, finally, we have the master prototyping level. And so this is really the kind of cream of the crop skills to do this really at an expert level. Now, things like functional prototyping. It turns out we can turn our prototypes and actually make them usable products. That is something that was never possible with any of the things that we did before with static mockups. And so that now becomes possible with this idea of being a master prototyper. Another great one is this idea of product shaping. It's that product prioritization process we were just talking about, which is we should now be creating multiple prototypes, putting them in front of our customers, and then deciding what to put on the roadmap, which is an entirely different way to build products, but is now unlocked with this idea of AI prototyping. And so this is the ladder of skills that we need to ladder up into to turn our prototypes from AI slop to well-crafted product designs that we're all excited to ship.
You know that feeling when you try to prototype something with AI and it spits out something completely generic? Then you spend hours tweaking colors, fonts, copy, and features just to make it feel like your actual product? Here's the problem. Most AI app builders aren't built for product teams. They're built for those starting from scratch. But product teams aren't building from zero. You have an existing product, real customers, design guidelines, a backlog full of ideas you need to explore and validate fast. That's what Reforge Build does. AI prototyping that starts from your product. Add your customer feedback, strategy docs, and product features as context. Create reusable templates using your product design, explore multiple variants side by side, collaborate with your team in one place. Reforge Build generates prototypes that reflect your real pricing tiers, real features, real customer language, not generic placeholder. Stop fighting tools built for founders. Start prototyping like a product team. Reforge Build, AI prototyping built for product teams. Try it free at reforge.com/Akash. That's reforge.com/AAKASH. And use the code BUILD for 1 month free of premium. I hope you enjoyed that short clip. You can check out the full episode here.